G'day, listeners. Welcome to Barkarati, the Sailing Podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer, and it's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some cool sailors. But, of course, I have to share the microphone with my two idiot mates. Let's welcome Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, Exalted One.
BP.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be. 5 days in 41 days of sun in Sydney.
Oh, I didn't think you were going with that. That's not what I expected.
5 days in 41 days of sun. Now, of those 41 days, it's rained 40 days.
Fantastic.
Now, on the other side of that, which is going to come up in a minute, we've got a problem. The sun is now in the wrong spot by an hour.
Sorry, listeners, I didn't realise we were doing weather forecasting.
Bossy, when you bring him in,
Daylight. Yeah, let's bring the other bloke before we can bag that one. Hang on a second.
sun is in the wrong spot.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Bice.
Gents,
G'day.
maybe once you're done with your daylight saving rant, we can ask Jordan about the war or something.
Yeah.
No, daylight saving is back in town. It's at least an hour past my bedtime as it stands. But all the cows are happy. The curtains are back to their full colour.
Curtain manufacturers.
All the cows are happy. I was going to say the cows are happy.
They're ecstatic. They get to sell more curtains.
This is a global discussion, though. Yeah. The US are looking at dumping it completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we're going to all end up like Jordan.
They're following Jordan's lead.
Were you speaking to them when you were over there?
No, mate. No. I
you
don't
sure?
know why you're copping on me. Just because
You rant on about it. You just can't deal with daylight savings.
I lived my whole life with daylight savings. Thought it was the greatest thing ever. Then I moved to a place with no daylight savings and going, Jesus, how much better is this?
Yeah. Yeah, I concur.
Yeah. It's
I'd
way
go with
better.
it.
Fair enough.
It's way better without daylight savings. It's
No,
just,
I'm not. I'm
just
not really.
speaking
I'm
for-
not really here for an argument. So all good.
no point arguing.
Hey,
Go on.
I got one for you though, BP,
What's that, old mate?
and might as well just hook straight into it. You got a little Christmas present arrive.
Well, did I get a Christmas present? I tell you what, I get the last couple of weeks have been stress with shipping and customs and clearance. And this is, of course, we're talking about the Far X2, the first one into Sydney. All good. It's coming Friday morning. It is now Sunday because we pre-recorded this one, but on Thursday night I got an email. The boat is 10 minutes away. I'm going, no, okay. Cancel the dentist appointment, cancel everything else, cancel dinner, cancel everything, go to the boat, get it, unwrap it. So, yes, the Far X2 is in my hands and, yeah, it's been a good few days. I do go down there and sit there and feel quite happy about having it here, got to admit.
How long till it hits the water?
Hey, that ship, by any chance, it didn't go via the York Peninsula between Indo and Sydney? Because it came around the south, right?
It actually went into Adelaide, yes.
Yeah, so, okay.
Did you see it?
No, what I'm getting to is I'm following that ship because something may or may not have dropped off the side of that ship, which may or may not mean we could buy as many X2s as we want in the world.
Oh, I don't
Only
know.
solid 400 and something odd kilos of a bit of what they call a brick, I believe, in the game.
Well, I'm lost. I have no idea.
A white lobster, I believe.
Oh, that's
normally-
Mate, we're moving into the game down here, down south.
No. We're strictly in the car business. We're in the car business.
Amazing.
We're in the car business with the occasional yacht.
To hear of a massive bust off your local shoreline.
I didn't know about that. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
Is that what that post from Nick George was about today?
No, we were just actually when we're out yachting on the weekend, it's a big discussion. What would you do if you just came across the white lobster?
Oh, I've got to say, I'm pretty sure that I've sailed past a few in the Mediterranean.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And they said, should we pick it up? No.
No.
Anyway. No. Look, to be honest, it's good to have it in my hands. And to answer your question, Jay, the owner, John Bacon, has said, get it done right, relax, make it happen. got all the contractors coming in, and 12th of April is the date that we are looking at actually officially sailing. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
John Bacon.
What's the christening? Who's going to christen it for you? Got all that stuff sorted? Got your champagne smasher sorted?
Kind of having a little one every day, to be honest.
What, champagne?
Just lots of people coming down and passing on their well dones and all that jazz.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
you know, it's all going
christening.
well.
Oh,
But
push bits on, christening.
Yeah.
Pulpits on, christening.
No, the big one will probably be on that day, the 12th. Yeah.
Do you know what John's going to call it? Do you know what it's going to be called?
Yes, I do actually. It's Nexpa.
Nexpa?
Nexpa. Now, Nexpa is a
Pharmaceutical drug?
No, it's a drink, a health drink that is available in all good health stores.
Yep.
So he supported that company, and so Nexpa is is the boat.
Are they going to? You're going to get a wrap on it, or is it going out as white?
No, it's getting some bits and pieces put on this week.
Cool. Going to look the full glamour.
Exciting.
And like, what sort of sales are we going? Carbon? Are we going polyester? Are we going dyed hot pink? What's going on?
No, the first set is a North's NXL set, and then the 3DI are on their way.
Okay.
Yeah, she's all black. Black. Other than the white one.
What would Shane Ganaria saying he wants to get his hands on? Is he measuring up a set for another boat?
Well, yeah, there is a Doyle's owner, so yep, we're going to have some Stratus.
Beauty. Perfect.
There you go.
Okay, well, cool. Congratulations, mate. I'm fired up. For you.
Thank you.
Here.
You know what else I'm fired up for?
What?
Tonight's guest.
Yeah. You've had some time. You've had some times with this one, haven't you? Big nice.
Yeah, no, I've shared many a yachting tale with this fine fellow, and many a yachting day, as a matter of fact. Most recently, just on the Willow, but prior to that, was kind of went through the laser ranks together, and also the mighty young Australia. One of us kind of went on and made our career worthwhile. The other one, maybe not.
The other one went on to go be involved in seven America's Cups.
Yeah, that's right. One created the best podcast, sailing podcast, and oh dear. All right, lads. Look, I know we've been Aussie heavy for the last few shows, and our intention was to bring a few non-Aussies on board. But when you've got a bloke who's done 7 cups, won it a few times, and he says, "Yeah, you know what, I'll be up for a chat." Well, you're not going to pass that opportunity up. So, welcome to the show, Joey Newton, mate.
G'day, guys. How you going?
Not only are you Aussie, Joe, American, Italian,
Great British,
English.
Yep.
English. Yep.
English.
Anything else?
Port Macquarian.
Port Macquarian yet? No, I think you've nailed most of them, Vicey, so far.
Really? Have you?
Yeah, it's been a good few years.
What else?
Okay, well that covers off our
terrible start, isn't it? This is a terrible start.
That covers off our diversity.
No, actually, just going back there, Jordan, like seven cups, Joe. And I must have. I remember when you were being introduced by Jim Cooney when we were out doing a twilight race, and he had his guests on board on the Willow, and he introduced went around everyone and what people had done. He'd obviously done his research, but not as much about you. So, Joe, you've done 3 or 4 America's Cup. Nah, Jim, 7. Are you the most decorated America's Cup sailor from Australia?
Well, I've done the same as Jimmy, I guess, and then you go to someone like Grant Simmer. I don't know how many he's done. I think he's 10 or something like that. I've raced in 6 of them. I didn't race in Bermuda. I was on the sailing team, but didn't make the final cut there. So I'm not sure. I mean, there's plenty of Aussies. I didn't even, Nick's being modest, he was involved in the America's Cup back in 2000. Most of the guys that came off that boat, Young Australia, have gone on to some other form of America's Cup or pro sailing or whatever it might be. But most of those guys are still in the industry in one way or another.
Here. And all right, straight down to it then. And this is probably a question you'd ask right at the end, but we'll just kick it off and that can kick some stories off. The best cup you've done then?
Best one, Young Australia was pretty good fun just because we were, you're 18 and, you're having a blast.
A little loose.
A little loose. Sid was giving us $160 a week, I think, and at the time we thought that was awesome.
Good catch.
Yeah, but I don't know. They've all been different, and I've been lucky to go through, 7 of them, like you said. But I've gone through a lot of different classes. So, the version 5 boats were awesome in their own way. The big trimaran was just, at the time it was like nothing was ever going to be built like that ever again. And then through the whole foiling boats, the multi-hulls and into the monohull. So I don't know. I guess the big trimaran was probably my favourite. It was just so extreme and so, they were just so cool, both those boats.
That's 33rd in Valencia, yeah?
Yeah, that's right, 2010.
Yeah, definitely cool.
So we'll come back to the cup, but how did it all start? We've had a couple of your mates on in previous editions of Barkarati, and they all speak very highly of you from the early days. So take us through the early days, how it all kicked off for you.
Well, I actually grew up in central Queensland, like Emerald, out in western Queensland. My sabo ran in a bit of a dam there, and then moved to Yeppoon, sailed there, and then I did a sailmaking apprenticeship at Fraser Sails in Queensland. A guy called Rick Biley owned that at the time, but the head sailmaker there was none other than Squark. So
it always brings a laugh. It always brings a laugh, doesn't it?
Yeah. So between Squark, and Brisbane at that time was, guys who've had on this show, Squark and Adrian Finglas and Dan Fitzgibbon and heaps of awesome guys at that time, and that's sort of where I did most of my start into competitive sailing was around those guys, which you can imagine hanging out with Squark and Adrian in the late 90s was a pretty fun place to be.
How did you thrive so much? With such mentorship.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine what I could have done without them.
Well, you might have done 8 cups.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool.
And I met, I started doing a lot of youth match racing then, because back then that was, the late 90s, that was a really, all the different clubs around Australia had a really strong youth match racing program going. So I had my own little team from Royal Queensland Yacht Squadron, and we used to race against, I think I raced against you, Bice, in Adelaide, and Jimmy was doing the rounds at that point. And then pretty soon after that, Young Australia happened, and that was sort of the start of the journey into the Cup world.
It's pretty interesting because, the relationship with you and Jimmy is pretty tight. So for those who don't know, we're talking about Jimmy Spithill. Obviously, he's been a major part of it. That friendship sort of – did that open the doors or did you open the doors for Jimmy?
And be honest.
I think, yeah.
Funny you mention that.
Yeah.
I was having a chat too.
I think for whatever reason, Jimmy and I have always worked really well together. And, we're not the sort of guys, we've never just hung out together every single weekend or anything like that, but we've got a really, really good working relationship and we're really good mates, obviously.
I know why that is, Joey.
Why is that?
Because you don't have red hair.
Yeah, maybe. You needed less red-haired mates hang out with him.
No,
I think you need a few mates at the moment. That's all I'll say.
And I don't know. It's just always worked out. And, I'll be the first to admit I'm not the, I'm certainly not at the level of all the Olympic sailors that you see now and even through the years. But I've always sort of worked really well in big America's Cup teams, and I've always seemed to get asked back. So there's something right I'm doing there. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but it's always seemed to work out for me okay.
There's something you said in a bio somewhere where you said one of the secrets to what you learnt was that you have the same mood on the boat, whether you're winning or you're losing, like it's just a consistency thing. And that goes back to something Bicey talks about, the no wanker rule or no dickhead, whatever it is.
No dickhead rule.
Yeah. No dickhead rule, yeah. And that's one thing that I know, I remember some of the match racing we did really early on, Bicey, congressional cups and things. That was something we used to work on back on the match racing boats. And I know Jimmy's huge on it. Win, lose, whatever happens on the boat, the mood's the same. And I've always tried to sail using that kind of rule. And even in, I've been doing a lot of far 40 sailing here just recently with a new owner, Brendan McCasey. And I try and bring that onto big boats that I sail on and far 40s and anything you sail on, because I'm a big believer that there's no place for yelling and screaming in pro teams, and that should be the same as sailboats.
I like it. The old saying, have you guys ever noticed, if you're in a group and there's no one there that you can identify as being the dickhead, then you're probably the dickhead?
Don't know. Is that a common theme with you, Jay? Or
oh yeah, absolutely.
What are you trying to say?
Is something about this room we're sitting in now?
Maybe no dickheads there, right?
No.
No.
Couple of idiots, but that's about as far as we go.
One of the things that's interesting, just as an aside from the sailing, when we talk about where you said you've lived, you're born in Emerald, then a bit of time in Yeppoon, which for the non-Australians is sort of, you're a long way from the city in both. Emerald's is a long way inland. That's true outback. And then Yeppoon is a glorious piece of the world, but there's not many people there. Then you had a house in Hat Head in New South Wales. Now when we're talking small towns, we're talking, very, very, maybe one bakery and one pub. And now you're in Port Macquarie. Yeah. Do you like cities, mate, or you just like quiet life?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't. That's where I grew up. And I was very fortunate there to, Sabos were the big class back in those days, and I was very fortunate to have parents that would drive me to Brisbane pretty much every second or third weekend, which I think was 7 hours each way, to race Sabos.
Wow.
And then as for the rest of my life, I don't know, we've just always found places that we've liked. And a lot of the time we haven't been living here. My family and I have been pretty much living overseas for the last 20 years. This last 2 years since COVID has been, the longest period we've really been back in Australia. So, no, I don't know. I'm a believer that if you don't have to live in a city, you shouldn't. But, everybody's different, and that's just where we like to live.
Yeah, well, Port Mac's kind of a really lovely place, northern part of New South Wales, but I would suggest that, having been down to the yacht club there, it is a place where old boats go to die. It's not. It's not exactly
old boats or old blokes.
Both.
Bit of both. Yeah, there's a lot of old Sydney Hobart boats I see on the moorings,
with
swing moorings.
Absolute respect to the people there. They're living the dream life, so no criticism whatsoever. But do you get a good sailing fix sailing out of, or do you don't go out?
Well, I haven't been out yacht racing here, but the sailing club's only around the corner from my house. It was pretty funny because we've been living here for like a year, and I thought, I'll go down and show my face at the sailing club and see what's happening, because I've got kids and I thought they might get into it. And I managed to get away with it. I joined the club and they gave me one of their club tasers. And I got away with 2 or 3 months of no one really knowing who I was or what I did. And just rock up at the sailing club and sell tasers against these blokes. And they'd rip into me on the rigging lawn about I'm not using the Cunningham properly, or I don't know the rules. It was
you just let it run as long as you could. You let it run as long as you could.
How much did you win by?
I did pretty well on the tasers there. It wasn't a super strong fleet.
After a while, they come up to ask you how were you using the Cunningham today?
I'm interested how that, when somebody finally clicked, what happened there? What was that conversation like?
That would be the funny
it was
one.
like, finally someone's found the internet. Awesome. So, by the way.
Who is this Joey Newton bloke?
Yeah, a few of them finally got onto it. I think our kids went to school together and it all sort of clicked. So, yeah, it was okay. It's a really nice local grassroots club, and they sell a bunch of different boats, and it's a fantastic little club, actually.
I guess what's really cool about that, when they did find out, I mean, they would have been pretty well like, how was it? They must have asked you a lot of questions, and it would have been good talking about it to people that probably don't normally come from that crowd, just to sort of give them an insight of how it all goes, because not a lot of people, I mean, other than the pro sailors, would actually understand the effort and the work and the time that's put in. So that's probably something that's a bit misunderstood in general.
Yeah, and it surprised me how much, because you're always sort of off overseas, and that was sort of midway through the last cup. And, a lot of the guys there, they were fully up to speed on the America's Cup, and they're asking us, what's going on with the foils on the Ineos boat. And it was, it was kind of cool to see, you're in a little town in Port Macquarie on the mid-north coast of New South Wales, and it's this tiny little sailing club, but they're all just, they were riding the America's Cup and all about it.
And what about the kids? Once the kids found out, did they sort of like, oh, he's a legend?
Oh, yeah, they did. I mean, the kids are, they're all sort of looking at foiling boats and moths, and which is really cool to see. It's sort of been a big change from when we were kids, and you're all sailing around in sabots, and then you sort of go progressively into slower boats, the same similar sort of style. But now,
progressively into slower
everybody's
laser 4.6 knots upwind.
Yeah, 420. Something weighs 85 kilos. Yeah.
Hey, back to the Sydney Hobart boats on the mooring there. Just a quick little reflection on your first Sydney Hobart with Ian Kennard, was it?
Ian Kiernan,
Yeah.
I did the 96 Sydney Hobart with Ian Kiernan on a boat called Cannon Morris, which is a classic 38 foot sort of one of those.
Yeah.
Really?
And then did which was one of the first downwind. They were sort of before that, was seemingly all upwind, but that one was one of the downwind ones. I think Morning Glory won and broke the record. So that was a really cruisy race and had roast dinners, and it was all very comfortable. And then I did the 98 race on the same boat, which wasn't so comfortable.
I never want to go offshore again.
And then had a break until last year, and I tried to go with Bicey, but that didn't happen.
Oh, Bicey breaks and everything.
Yeah.
Probably worth mentioning
Not a test rig.
for the listeners out there, Ian Kiernan. He's the guy that basically started the whole movement about sailing, that cleaning up the oceans. It was
clean up Australia.
Clean up Australia.
Clean up Australia, because he was doing a round the world race, I think, and just noticed how much rubbish was in the oceans. So that whole thing came from Ian Kiernan probably 30 odd years ago now. So he's a bit of a legend in the world.
I think Clean Up Australia is still running it. Yeah, he was instrumental in cleaning up Sydney Harbour and for what it is today. And such a beautiful waterway it is now. A lot of it's thanks to Ian Kiernan.
Yeah.
Not so much right now. You should see the colour of it with the floods.
It'd be chocolate now.
Yeah.
Fluorescent red.
So when you got the opportunity to do the Hobart on the Willow and you knew Bicey was on the boat, did that make you want to do it or not want to do it?
Well, yeah, they didn't tell me Bicey was on the boat.
Until you got down there.
Otherwise you would have rushed down, Joe.
Yeah, otherwise,
no, you already had your T-shirt on. They hadn't told you, and you rock up at the boat, and he's there. He's oh Jesus.
Well, I got to tell you, blokes, and
here we go.
I remember actually doing a few of our broadcasts or pods during that time. But literally, we could have been 20 years ago back on Young Australia. That's what it kind of felt like. To me, Joe, it might have been a different story to yourself. I mean, there was the odd dry route and a bit of a pash here and there, but just to rekindle things. But
you're a close crew.
When you COVID didn't happen for no reason, right? No, but literally it was like that. It was like we were on a boat yesterday, and that boat happened to be Young Australia 20 odd years ago. But to go yachting again with guys that you grew up with and kind of broke into the scene with was pretty special.
Yeah, which is kind of another thing we do talk about quite a lot, isn't it? That they're friends for life, and when the kids talk about it, they're sort of understanding that as well.
Yeah, and it's one of the awesome. It's one of the most awesome things about this world is that like Bicey said, we haven't seen each other for years and years and years. You just pick up where you left off, and that just happens over and over again. I'm going to do the TP52s tomorrow, and there'll be a bunch of guys there back from Monohull era America's Cup, and we'll be the same guys, and they'll all be great mates. And I'm looking forward to it. It'll be good fun.
Yeah, I think one of the things that jumps out is for you guys, the Young Australia thing was the thing that kicked it all off. And if you guys hadn't gone down the match racing path, that wouldn't have happened. Basically you're all sort of picked out of doing the youth match racing stuff. I'm interested when they pulled the team together on the Young Australia thing. You're all young teenagers. Was it mates at first sight, or was it there was a bit of punching going on, or
no? It was good fun, but they had this sort of like you trialled. So, there was a few of us that had done a bit of match racing with Jimmy, so you kind of automatically got through to the last bit, but you were in no way guaranteed a spot. Yeah. And I think Sid, he reached out to all the yacht clubs in Australia and just said, look, I'm putting this Youth America's Cup team together. What guys would you like to put forward? And it just sort of spread through word of mouth, and you applied. And then a bunch of us, it's going back a few years now, we all went to Sydney and we sailed on his 50-footer, like a IMS
on
50.
the rags.
Muffin. Yeah. And then through that, they just started working through it. And then every month or so, a bunch of guys get culled until the core team was sort of left there. And they were the ones that, we started sailing the ISC boat then in Sydney Harbour, and then that was the team that went across to Auckland.
I remember, apart from the match racing side, which a few of us kind of knew each other on the circuit, but there's a few of us also from the lasers, like us two, Ben Durham, and a couple of the other WA boys. So we kind of knew each other from a individual basis. There are a few that we didn't know, but generally we were kind of in the same circles.
For sure. And I every now and again I'll have a think about what Sid did for us all then, and I'm sure that the vast majority of us wouldn't be what we're doing today without Sid putting that campaign together. Because back in those,
that's been said a few times.
Yeah, like in the early 2000s, trying to get a ride in America's Cup boat was, if you didn't have experience, you just didn't get a shot. No, really how good you were previously, unless you were, had a bunch of gold medals hanging around your neck, you just weren't getting a shot. And that gave a bunch of guys a bit of a leg up, and you had a bit of experience, so you got asked onto other things.
Yeah. Shall this lead us into a few stories from the railway campus, or shall we leave that for another time?
Maybe we should leave the railway campus. The railway campus is where we were. Sid, I don't know, his great wisdom
accommodated us.
Yeah, decided to accommodate us in a university campus.
Yeah, works well.
Yeah.
18-year-olds.
18-year-olds with $160 in your pocket at a university campus. Pretty good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, well, you didn't get a degree, but you got all the important things out of university.
And some.
Similar to your good self, Jordan Spencer.
Yeah. Except you got a degree. As well.
And we, one of the things I'm interested, Joey, is that, you've had this sort of amazing run where you've sailed, except for the 12 metres, you've sailed every class of America's Cup boat, anything from the 12 metres before, obviously, which was only two different types of boats, I think, from memory, but you sailed, the America's Cup class boats, you sailed the trimaran, you got the 50 catamaran, the large catamaran, and now the monohulls as well. So, any favourites?
They're just all different. The big trimaran, like I said before, was just such a, just so awe-inspiring. In the trim that we finally sailed it in when we learned it was going to be a, 4 to 6 night, or we thought it was going to be a very light venue in Valencia. The wing was 68 metres. So it was just astonishing how big the thing was. And even today, I think in 4 to 6 knots, that boat is probably, still the fastest sailing boat, or right up there if the foiling boats aren't foiling for sure. As soon as it got over that wind speed, the new foiling boats would crush it, obviously. But I don't know, the 72s, the AC 72s were cool machines. They had a lot of people on them. They were hard to choreograph. They were sort of in the start of their development curve, so you were just making these huge gains day after day after day, and they were getting faster and faster. Those things with another generation on them would have been amazing.
That, the change element that you're talking about, nothing more evident than being down 8-1 and then, just incredible. Probably one of the most incredible moments in our sport, the development that's gone on. I think, it's your chance now. Do you think it was just because of your brilliance?
Probably not my brilliance, no. It was just, I don't know, that boat in particular, that campaign, it's a bit of a story, and you guys probably know a lot of it, but it was that boat, I think, was always a lot better than the Kiwi boat, just in the concept and the way, these big America's Cup campaigns, you're always tied to your early decisions. So you're tied to the concept of the boat that you put out to start with, and there's not a whole lot you can do to change it, or a lot of the time there's not that much you can do to change it. And that boat was always designed to be the most aerodynamic, low-drag boat it could possibly be, and will deal with everything else. So as opposed to the Kiwi boat, which was a beautifully engineered piece of structure that was extremely stiff and light. And in the end, the boats got going so fast that the aerodynamic boat, won by quite a long way. But with everything that went on leading into that, the America's Cup races with the court case with the whole weight and the king boat thing, that really fractured the team. And I think it's a lot more than people realise. Like, it was 2 weeks to the Cup or a week to the Cup or something like that, and we didn't even know who was sailing on the boat yet. And the team that ended up on the boat was different to the team that we thought it was going to be. So it just it really shook everybody up. And within the court case, it was sailors against sailors within the same team. So you can imagine that's not where you sort of want to start one of the biggest sort of sporting moments of your life from.
That in itself is an episode, right?
Yeah.
And we should get some of the key parties into it. But obviously that whole comeback, biggest comeback in sporting history, everything that it's been, dubbed to be, there were some pretty big decisions. Ben got on in place of John. There was a lot of a decision from, I believe, Dolts to have the lay day, which everyone believes that was the difference, which allowed you guys to really turn the boat around just to take that next step. Is that all bullshit and basically you were just going faster and faster, or that they were all related to it?
There's a whole bunch of little things that, the lay day thing was a mistake by Dolts, and I'm sure he'd admit that now as well. When you're on a roll and you're in front, you don't give them a breath. But at the time, I'm sure he thought there was good reasons to do it. In terms of our boat, we were just doing little things every day that were working a bit better. It was, Ben came on and he worked a lot better with Jimmy and Tom with slingers, and that was a really good step. Tom was pushing really hard for the foiling upwind, which we worked on more. We copied the Kiwis' tacking ability, the way they were tacking the boat. And that was a good step. We got lucky on that day when their time limit ran out. And then that was, that's just blind luck, and they got unlucky there. But like I said before, I think, we started -2 that regatta. But even when we didn't quite have our shit together, we were still winning races. But when we started to get our shit together, we didn't lose any. And, I'm sure if you played that out again, we would have slipped up 1 or 2. But in the end of the day, the fastest boat won, and that's the America's Cup.
Wasn't it Slingers that said that every race you won, they stuffed up their the Kiwis party that night? So it's kind of kept going them along, and that's what the real reason was you came back, right?
Yeah. I'm sure the labels were floating off the champagne bottles in the esky by the
end. rust on the aluminium cans,
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. When we talk about the same mood on the boat, no matter whether you're winning or losing, and in your decision team there, you've got 2 gingers. Was there any fieriness going on between the two? Or they?
No, it was.
It was all love.
It was all. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that none of us, thought about losing, because of course you do. You're 8-1 down.
8-1 down, yeah.
The writing's on the wall in big letters. So we all knew what could happen, but what else are you going to do? We're all competitive sailors. We all want to win, and you go out and try and win every day.
Yep.
And you 3 guys, I'm sure, do the exact same thing. You give it your best shot, and we had a good group of designers that were making little changes, and we had faith in the boat, and a lot of things about our boat were better than theirs. Like the control system was better, the wing was better. It was a nice platform, and when it all started working, it was pretty unbeatable. I think if we'd kept racing afterwards and had another 11 races, it would have been like we might have been 10-1 or something like that. Like it was that much better.
But from the start of the changes, there would have been an element of, we've got nothing to lose. We just go out there and we'll just sort of do it, and then all of a sudden you won one, then you won another one, and then the pressure must have been building. How was How was that handled, and was that something that came down from the top on how to sort of manage that as you got to sort of 7-8, 6-8, 7-8, and then all of a sudden you're at 8-8? That would have been a real big thing. No,
it would have, and I can get where you're coming from, but there wasn't any directive from the top. It was like everybody's a professional. A lot of guys have been there before. If it wasn't in the America's Cup, they'd been there under that sort of pressure in Olympic boats. So everyone just sort of got on with it.
Yep.
And, there's nothing else you can do. You've just got to, there's one race a day, you wake up in the morning and do your own job as best you can. I mean, it got pretty loose when we were 8-1 down. There was some designers bringing beers to debriefs and stuff like that, and you go, shit, this doesn't look too good. But
this work's done there.
Just goes back to Boyce's attitude. It's just a yacht race, right?
It is, yeah. At the end of the day.
Did Larry ever come down and lose his shit?
I reckon he must have at the end.
I know, Larry, listen, so I don't mean this derogatory, Larry.
No, he didn't. Larry gave a really good speech before we started that cup, and that was sort of it. Larry he left us to it.
I'm sure he gave a really good speech at the end of the cup too.
Yeah.
And was there something to do with you're all getting an island off Hawaii?
I think Russell promised us all a trip to Hawaii if we won when we were 8-1 down, and then we won, but then he went quiet. No one went to Hawaii.
Is that right? We'll get him on the show to answer those allegations. We'll love that.
Yes, I think that'll be good. We're trying.
Yeah.
I think the next cup that really was the same in terms of completely new and trying new ideas and experimenting was the last one, when we went to the monohull, that just changed everything again. And from a sailing perspective, we suddenly see all these different ideas being trialled. Was it a good cup for you because of that, or did you like it
just one step back, gents? Right. And this is the first cup where you and Jimmy are not together. Yeah. And I've got a theory. Jimmy was the starboard helmsman on his boat, but Joey's the port trimmer. So of course they couldn't work together.
No.
Well, I've got to be on the same side. Got to talk. Got to keep it in the loop.
Secret. I can't believe you nailed it so easily.
I'm sorry, Joe. This is the situation. I've been assigned the starboard side. No. So the next cup, Ineos. Last cup, Ineos. Everything's new again.
Yeah, they they're cool machines. The way they ended up, they're fantastic boats. With upwind, there's just nothing that would, in a bit of breeze upwind, there's nothing that can get close to them. I mean, you can do 40 knots upwind. If you lean on, you're not full VMG, leaning on a little bit, but they're astonishingly quick boats. And by the end, in 16 to 18, every bear away you do 50. And for us guys that are a bit older, it wasn't that long ago, it seems, that 50 knots was this barrier that no one could get through. And then you're doing it burping up your lunch. But it was a very difficult, I look at it, it was a very difficult cup to win as a challenger, and they all are. The defender holds all the cards.
Definitely.
And it's always been that way. But this time, last time, the cards were certainly stacked pretty heavily in favour of the defender, as well as Luna Rosa. And I'm sure you guys know, but for those that don't, the America's Cup works. It's a challenge trophy, so you have a winner that wins it, and they negotiate the rules with a challenger of record. And that challenger of record's always set up before the boats cross the finish line. Because if someone was to walk up, if you won the America's Cup, and then someone walked up and handed you a challenge, that's the challenge. So that's why you always have these yacht clubs representatives sitting next to, last time was the representative from Team New Zealand, ready to sign the next challenge. So then they have a challenger of record, and then they negotiate the rules. After Bermuda, I think Team New Zealand came up with the concept of that foiling monohull pretty quickly, or they had it in their minds, the foiling monohull. It was there bubbling away, and they worked on it in their sim. And I have this, they had some sort of deal with Luna Rosa from the previous cup where they borrowed, in Bermuda, where they borrowed a bunch of people, and maybe there was some money involved. But the payback was that Luna Rosa got some say in what sort of boat was being used. So Team New Zealand had to sort of sell them that concept. And the wash up of all that is that those two teams knew what the boat was going to be pretty early on. And then Team New Zealand designed their class rule and then distributed it to all the other teams. This is over a process of like 6 months. And by the way, they didn't do anything wrong. You're allowed to do whatever you want. You're the defender. So there were no rules broken. But then when American Magic and Ineos got the class rule to make the first regatta, this is pre-COVID happening, obviously, when there were some regattas planned, you pretty much were building straight away to I think timeline was like 6 or 8 weeks or something like that to design the whole boat, which, for one of those boats is nothing. And that's why you saw the first generation Ineos boat and the first generation American Magic boat come out looking like they did. But they were very much just not a Hail Mary, but you were
almost a concept.
Still. Yeah. And that's what you see. The Kiwis were clearly a generation ahead in the last Cup. If we'd beaten the Italians in the final, it wouldn't have made any difference. The Kiwis were going to win. I think the scoreline probably didn't show how much better the Kiwis were. They were around 6 months better. And then, you always hear that cliche about you can't buy time, and we could have thrown another 100 million in our campaign. I don't think it would have made any difference.
Yeah.
You could have asked us, Joey. We actually saw the drawings before the Cup, before the 2017
Want to let us know? Yeah.
we did know all about it. Actually, it was quite impressive. Anyway, you should have just asked.
Should have just asked you.
Rang up the boys.
Yeah.
In all of that, Joe, 7 cups. What's the biggest controversy you've seen?
Controversy. The leading into the 2013 was pretty big.
Oh, yeah.
The whole King Post thing that I think needs another episode, like you said. It was really. It was just super stressful, on the whole team, and especially the people involved. It was. It was horrific. And with what was at stake, and people lost their livelihood and got banned for years, and things like that. People weren't messing around with it. That's for sure.
But that's a in-house scandal. What about inter-team? Because that's over the years, cups have always been very sort of on the edge like that. Spying and trying to find out what each other's doing and.
It just always seems to be happening. I don't know. Like when you're involved in the teams, you don't. I know from the outside, you probably think there's some huge scandal going on, but you don't. It's just water off a duck's back. It's just always going on, and everybody's always trying to get an advantage. I think Dennis Conner said it's all about self-interest, and it is. Everyone's trying to negotiate their way to get their team the best advantage, doing whatever they can.
I remember getting some pretty good binoculars in Valencia. Why have I got these? Just go out and look at the boats. You'll be right.
So, Joe, you're quite a bit involved in that side of things too, right? Observing all other teams and travelling to all corners of the globe to do that?
Yeah. So last time with COVID happening, I was stuck in Australia, so I went to New Zealand. Instead of going back to the UK, I went to New Zealand early and handled sort of the recon part of it. So I was just there to follow the Kiwis around. So in this time of the Cup, they banned all recon. So I think you have a central recon person that'll report to all the teams. But last time, when we followed the Kiwis around, that's always and the American Magic when they were there, and Prada when they were there before we started sailing. So it's always a big part of it, and it's always it's a bit of a funny one because you sort of, it's one of those jobs you create mountains of data that you're not really sure anybody looks at.
Kind of spying on all your mates as well.
Yeah. But everybody does it. So there's this whole...
Most of it would be done in the pub at the end of the day, wouldn't it?
Pretty much. That's sometimes where you get the best info. Everyone thinks it's this whole, taboo thing where you're spying on each other, but everybody does it and no one really cares. So I don't know. I got in a bit of trouble from Team New Zealand when I was there early because they were meant to be in COVID lockdown and I was out in the water following them, and there was a bit of a push and shove about whether my job was I could do it from home or not, one of those weird debacles.
Do it from home. I need really good binoculars.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure Dalton dobbed me into the police because I went out the next day on my little chase boat and this massive Coast Guard police boat hunted me down and stopped me.
I'm intrigued. I do want to...
What did you say to him?
Yeah.
I could possibly be your dad.
It was pretty intimidating because it was like a huge big Coast Guard thing, and I was just like, mate, my job is at the moment to follow this boat around, and the rules say, if I can't do it from home, I'm allowed to be here. And he was back and forth in his office and taking my details. And
you were alone on the boat though, or you have? Cause,
no, I was alone on the boat. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were isolating. It's all right.
Yeah. Well, I was waiting for the cuffs to come out because you don't know how much sway the Kiwis have got over the Kiwi police. Anyway, all worked out.
Love it. I love the whole inside thing about the cup because like we saw the announcement for the next cup in 24 is going to be in Barcelona after all this time.
Yes, it is.
And when I don't know when it was announced, it was a couple of days ago or something. What was it?
Yeah, a few days ago.
Yeah.
The Spanish boys were showing me when I was in San Fran all the newspapers from Spain reporting that the deal was done. So it was published in Spain. That had been advised in Spain
Prior to the
before the announcement.
official.
Yeah.
So, pretty standard Spanish stuff.
Just leave it around. Yeah.
The brown paper bag had been collected.
Did you have any insight, Joe, on it going to Barcelona, or were you all packed up, ready to go to Saudi Arabia?
My bet was on. I thought Jeddah. Just because I thought the deal would be easier. But, I'm not privy to what goes on with Team New Zealand. And, to be honest, I know a lot of the Kiwis would be really upset that it's not going to be in New Zealand, and I can understand that. But
yeah, for sure.
It would have been a hard decision for those guys to take it offshore. The Team New Zealand's always been about New Zealand, and I know they've had
loyalty and all that shit.
Yeah, taxpayer money and everything that goes with it. So I'm sure they wouldn't have done it if they didn't absolutely have to.
Well, we knew it was happening a few weeks ago because we saw Dolt settled on a whole bunch of waterfront property in Barcelona.
Yeah, the old self-interest coming back again.
Yeah. And did Bertarelli come in and sign up as well? Because that's what he did in Valencia. So maybe that means he's coming back as well.
Yeah, well, he is back.
Yep.
I think he's back, right? Yeah.
Bought up all the office suites on the main street.
Yeah.
It is fun, the Cup. There's no doubt about it. It's a ton of fun. I think all this sort of banter and all this sort of stuff makes it the fun thing. I mean, it is a little usurped with Sail GP because Sail GP's in our wheelhouse every month basically, and so it's a fantastic event. But the Cup still has that sort of special feel about it, and the whole new boats, new technology, the development. Long may it live. I'm interested.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day, though. Like everyone thinks there's this sort of inevitability to the Cup, and I was thinking, shit, we all thought that about the Admiral's Cup, and I just see it with these. I see what Sail GP has done and Russell's done with that, and it is amazing, and you go that it's working. Like it seems to be sustainable, and it's a good sort of way to do things economically, and there's teams coming into it. It's bigger, and the TV product's fantastic. And then, I love the America's Cup, but I sort of worry, with these astonishingly expensive boats, 3 and 4 year campaigns.
3 or 4 boats.
Yeah, well, you're allowed to build one this time, I think, but there's still, it doesn't, like the build cost and the run cost on these things is eye-watering. They're seriously complicated bit of kits and incredibly highly loaded. So the maintenance on them is just next level. And you sort of go, well, there's a few more teams this time, and I hope that keeps building. But you look at if it was direct competition to Sail GP, Sail GP's put a pretty impressive package together.
Well, it'll wins hands down, but I think the Cup's got to keep that mystique and that side of it, because it always ebbs and flows. I mean, if you look at it over the last 100 or so years, it's just it has always done that. It's sort of peaked in 87, if you like, with the 12s, and then it sort of dripped away again, and then it came back with the 5s in 2007 was the biggest one with the 5s, and then it sort of wobbled with the 33rd. No one knew where it was going to go after that, and then it kept coming, and now it's here. So it's kind of it's almost like just a process that keeps ebbing and flowing.
Yeah, I hope you're right. And it's, it's produced some of the coolest boats, well, the coolest boats ever, really. Without the Cup pushing the foiling thing along, it wouldn't be where it is today.
We noticed in 21, in New Zealand a lot of differences between the boats, and obviously the Ineos team didn't quite get there in the final. What are the major changes that you're going to make that are going to stand out, do you reckon? The critical changes?
Well, I'm not with Ineos for this time.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to tell you. I can talk a little bit about what we went through last time. And I mean, it'll be a lot harder. I was telling you before about this sort of head start, if you want to call it that Team New Zealand had. That's gone this time.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody they knew the class was going to be the same, or near enough to the same. I think it's a ton lighter and a few other changes, and foils are a tiny bit different. But the basic concept's still the same. And I know Ineos, even towards the end of last time, were already hitting the ground running. So, and there's a bunch of teams like that. American Magic are the same. Prada are the same. Alinghi are going to be strong. So it's certainly going to be a different kettle of fish this time.
Yeah, I'm interested.
So in saying that, Joe, we've gone US, we've gone Australia, we've gone Italian, we've gone UK. What flag will be draped over your shoulders for the next cup?
Well, that's no one's phone hasn't rung yet, Dicey. Might have to get you involved.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the nationality rules, the way they're written this time, you're pretty pooched. If I've got a UK passport, so it worked pretty well last time. But if you don't have the passport this time, you're done. There's no way you're sailing. There's
I think. You didn't want an Ineos Grenadier car anyway, though, just a rip-off of the Land Rover Defender. So,
yeah.
So if the phone doesn't ring, are you good for a career for a while, or do we need to promote your brand a bit?
Maybe I can jump on Barker already.
Yeah.
There's plenty going on in the I've always sort of kept my hand in the big boat sailing world, especially in Europe. So I'm off tomorrow to the TP52s. They're training in Valencia, so I'll do that whole season. I do a lot of sailing with the Maxi Jetu, which is a Maxi 72. It's been extended a bit in Europe. So you piece those two together, all of a sudden it's sort of like 100 days. And I'll be doing a lot of sailing with a new owner here, as I mentioned before. And that's been really good fun. And it's nice to be home, to be honest, a bit as well. The kids are getting a bit older and probably need the dad around a bit more.
So is are the kids into the yachting? I know you're young fellas on the race course, a different race course to what we're used to.
Yeah. No, the young bloke races.
He's on the race track.
Yeah, he races go-karts. My daughter does a horse, unfortunately, so...
You better keep working.
Oh, mate.
I'm laughing.
I should have given him a tennis racket or something. So they sort of got into, when we all lived in Bermuda, it was awesome. We were there for like 3 or 4 years, and the kids got into opties a bit there, but I just never really gelled with them and didn't really sort of push them into it overly. So now they're off doing their thing.
Yep.
You'll be bumping.
Similar sort of boat.
This is probably the most serious question I've got for the whole interview. Joe, you've been known out of your 7 cups in a whole lot of different areas around the world to have a different array of pets all over the joint.
Pets?
Can you? Yeah, I know, for example, the cat, that bloody lion, actually, it wasn't a cat, that you had, a tiger, was it, maybe, in Bermuda?
Yeah, the leopard cat thing. Yeah, I have one of them.
Leopard cat
thing. It was a breeder. Actually, a few of them, Louis Sinclair got one because they bred when I wasn't looking. And then Louis Sinclair got one, Jimmy took one. I don't know, there's a bunch of basically they're spread all over Bermuda now.
Now there's a wild range of tigers on Bermuda.
Now you're back home and you've got a couple of horses. You've probably got a horse float. All sorts of stuff going on. Just proper dad stuff, right?
Yeah, no toys for me anymore, mate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried for you, mate. Like you've rolled your kids into 2 of the most expensive sports you can possibly do.
Motorsports and horses.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
In
Port Macquarie, so you've got to travel as well. So I
actually find it pretty cool, and it must be pretty similar if you've got your kid in a decent sort of opti program. You travel a lot, but you go to a lot of cool places in Australia up and down the East Coast.
I reckon go-kart can probably be cheaper than sailing.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, it's just the travel that gets you. But it's very well. Yeah, I love like they do in the junior classes. It's pretty well constrained with materials you're allowed to use, and
So
I mean, you can spend whatever you want. but
you're in Port Macquarie. You're into go-karting. You must know a bloke by the name of Jim Pearson.
Jim Pearson.
Oh, Pearso.
Jimbo.
Jim Pearson. I think he's the wealthiest guy in Port Mac. I know he's. He put his daughter through the go-karting world. So I just thought maybe he still hangs around, but his daughter's all grown up now.
No, but if I find him, I'll mention your name, mate.
No worries. He named his granddaughter after me. So grandson. It's named
Granddaughter.
grandson.
I suppose it happens.
It's unisex, my name, mate.
I know.
Pretend
That's
to be
what I
anything.
was saying. I wasn't laughing at that.
No. So, well, you're living the dream then, do you get your terminology confused? So if you're at the go-kart track or the horse track, do you you talk about hands inappropriately,
Oh, mate, I'm just that guy. Like I'm the dopey bloke at the yacht club that sort of comes down and doesn't know what he's doing. I'm that version of that, but around horses or go-karts. Just making an absolute fucking mess of stuff, and then someone will come and sort me out.
Love to see you on the tools on the go-kart. That would be funny.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty dangerous.
No,
Hey.
Joe's handy in the mechanical sense, right? You've got a few cars yourself.
Yeah. No, I go all right with the
keep them rolling.
go-karting stuff. And
Yeah.
it's to be honest, it's a lot like the sailing. Yeah, it's all just little tuning stuff and details and
You go all right with the go-karting stuff, but the horse shits itself when you rock up
the
with a
horse
couple of
I'm no
spanners.
good with, mate. I'm no good with horses.
spanners and a cordless drill. What the hell?
How do you do those plats that those horses
Mate,
down their
don't.
mains?
You just do not get involved with it.
Oh,
Hey?
Oh, dear. I love it.
Got a saying, you never trust anything with its own brain, Bitey.
Is that why you get on so well
we
with
know
Bossy?
that too well, my friend. Unfortunately, there's only enough blood to run one at a time.
Oh, dear. All right, well, I'm interested, like with your career, mate, you would have sailed with some of the most amazing people. Well, you have, you've sailed with some of the best, Is there, were there things that you sort of, or a person on it, you can't really say a favourite person, so I'm trying to rephrase the
You
question.
can if you want, Joe.
Yeah, I was going to say,
You
Joey.
can
I
if
think
you want, my friend.
Joey, didn't we sail together in '97 on Secret Men's Business? You can say it. It's okay.
Yeah, Jeff Betcher.
He's a great man.
No, I don't know. Like they're all different. Like Jimmy is. Yeah, I've done the most miles with Jimmy and the most races for sure. And he's a pretty unique talent in terms of what he can do on sailboats and in terms of work ethic. That guy is the first one at the gym and the last one to leave. And it's just constant.
Well, he's got nothing else to do as a redhead. You can't really go out.
No one wants to talk to you.
Yeah. But I don't know, like all of them, Ben is, nothing needs to be said about Ben Ainsley. He's probably the greatest sailor that's ever lived. The amount of medals he's won, and he doesn't have peers. But I don't know, Russell, in terms of if you could have anyone to run America's Cup campaign, Russell's your man. And he's got, in terms of anybody, he's just so good at making really big picture decisions. He doesn't get bogged down in little stuff. He'll just come in and go. An example of that is when we had that big trimaran and we were sailing in San Diego. When we were running two programs. We had the wing and the soft sail. So I think we had a 53-metre soft sail rig and then the wing. And then we broke that 53-metre rig the day before the wing went in. So we sailed with the wing, and then we were building a 58-metre rig or something, like a soft sail one, building all the sails. And he just came in one day and said, "Look, you guys, this is ridiculous. Choose one. Don't care which one it is." And that was it. And he just left everybody to make the decision. And obviously we chose the wing, but it was just, you just needed someone there to make the call and go decide what you're going to do.
Right.
And
that's a massive thing. If you think about what it did, it changed the face of sailing, didn't it? Just leaving that whole decision.
Yeah.
In essence.
Yeah. And, the boat probably still would have got the job done with the soft sails.
Yep.
But it just needed to do one or the other. And that was when you're bogged down in the, in the details of it all, and you're there trying to make both, I've always been involved in the sail programs, and, we had soft sails for the mast, and then we had sails for the wing, like containers of sails. And you don't think about, oh shit, should we be doing one or the other? It was, we've got to have both to see which one's faster. And you Russell's really good at making those big decisions and coming in and just seeing the big picture and going, one or the other, or I think we should do this, and that'll be it, and he'll just leave you to it.
Love it. I really do. I think it's super cool. You have to talk about Grant Simmer though. Like that guy's been around for so long. Is he a thought leader or is he just sort of tinkering away in the background?
Grant, he joined a bit later than me and Ineos last time. I think we were part of the way through the first boat build, and Grant was instrumental in getting that thing on track. I mean, it was going to be really late, pretty catastrophically late. And he was the one to come in, gather it all up, get it all organised. He was unpopular at times. He had to fire some people, but it was the right thing to do, and he had to make some big, tough decisions and turned around. But Grant's, he's an incredibly smart guy, and he involves himself, in a lot of parts of the campaign because he's, like you said, he's got a knowledge in it. We were talking about before. I'm not sure how many cups he's done, but it's 10 or 11 or something like that. So he's been there, done that. That's for sure.
From each position too.
Yeah.
Whether it's sailing or management or upper management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a question. The other two didn't want me to ask.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Who's the worst bloke you've sailed with?
His name rhymes with Big Nice. I don't know. I can't answer that. There's so many.
There's so many.
Just don't know where to start.
I love it.
It was when I was sailing a laser.
Oh, shit, that's myself.
Yeah, that was myself.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, boss, you were going to ask something, mate.
No, it was pretty much along those lines. So I think you've nailed it.
Big nice.
But going back to the laser, actually, I used to run off Joey's coattails a bit. We've had who we called the second best looking man in yachting, Tom Johnson, on the show previously. Joe Newton's probably the best looking. And I used to run off his coattails probably 20 plus years ago. Wherever Joey was going, I'd just follow around and everything would just diminish and I'd just pick him up like a little rover around the back.
Scoop him up. There we go. The truth.
They were the days.
They were the days.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it's a long time ago, Bossy.
Yeah, I know. We're getting old. Jesus, I tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been fun, boys.
Handed over to these young fellas now. Exactly.
All right, well, we're sort of coming to the end of our time, so we're happy to finish it off. So any last questions before we let this man go out to the paddock and scoop up some horse dung?
Yeah, it's any big boat stuff in Australia? Anything happening other than you got the far 40? You're saying?
I did a bit of sailing on, like Bice was talking about Willow leading up to Hobart, which unfortunately or fortunately didn't happen, depending on the race.
Well, we did actually bring this up a while ago, saying that it's going to be 3 years in the running, so it's going to be like it's all going to happen this year.
Well,
yeah. I got to be honest, I wasn't that unhappy sitting on my couch on Boxing Day.
Here we
smash upwind.
Yep.
Yeah, we did exchange a few messages on that day, so thank God for COVID.
Yeah.
What about some of the more famous races in Australia, like the Brisbane to Gladstone? Have you got a ride for that?
Not this year. I'll be away, unfortunately. I used to do it.
Isn't it this weekend?
A lot of them. Yeah, I think Easter weekend, right?
Friday, Easter weekend.
Yeah, right.
So 2 weeks away. No, that's
Then,
right.
of course, we got the Teakle Classic, Joe. I'll sign you up for next year. The mighty Adelaide to Port Lincoln Yacht Race.
Mate, I'll pencil it in.
Absolutely.
Ready to go.
Ready.
I'd whack it in ink, mate.
No, not too much in Australia. It's sort of I committed to the European stuff, but last year, and a bunch of really good owners and good guys sailing on it. So it sort of snowballs pretty quickly, that stuff, and you end up, a lot of it together. So try and tie a bunch of trips together so you're not sitting on an airplane all year.
All right. Speaking of that, favourite regatta?
Oh, there's one, La Voile de Saint-Tropez, that's on later in the year, is pretty good fun. We call it the Rosé Olympics.
Yeah. Yes. A lot of bocce gets played.
Bocce gets played. Yeah, it's good fun. Just there's a big classic boat regatta that's with it, and maxis, and there's some 52s there. It's just it's awesome, and it's in a good spot. And then anything in Sydney Harbour, I mean, we're so spoiled here in Australia with the places we get to sail when you go around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, love
Here.
it. Very cool. Well, mate, good luck over in Europe. Happy times over there. Good to see sailing's back on the cards. Obviously, you'll be working on your Italian passports, my guess, is what's about to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. No, it's. I think if you're not working now, you're kind of done. So maybe it'd just be big boats for a while, unless something changes. Like I said, the nationality rule this time is pretty restrictive.
Tough, yeah.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah. I think unless you've got the days in Auckland with a team, or you sailed with them last time, there's no chance.
Any truth to the rumour that you do sailing during the day and then you're doing catwalks in Milan at night time?
No, that's not true.
We'll keep an eye on that one.
Keep an eye out, though. You never know what will happen.
Mind you, I did see some of the fashion on TV the other day. I really hope it's not.
All right. Cool, mate. Absolute pleasure from my end. I think the other two blokes were a bit nervous for a while, but no, it's been
a bit starstruck.
Very. Thanks for having me.
Always a problem getting on with people like you, Joey. Just so far up there.
Cheers, Joe.
Yeah,
good to catch up, mate.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Good on you, mate. Cheers.
Oh, lads. Hey, how good is that bloke?
He goes all right.
Good chat.
Yep.
I tell you what, he would have loved just playing the low profile at his yacht club.
That was hilarious, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'd love to do that, but I haven't the talent that I've got nothing to brag about.
Go out and win.
Haven't you done 7 America's Cups, mate?
No. Well, God, let's be honest. I've done a whole lot more, but just viewing.
For my own viewing pleasure.
Yeah.
You've done nearly every race on every boat, haven't you?
That's right.
Yeah.
I got a lot of mates who have. Wow.
No, a lot of time for Joe.
Yeah.
Always have, always will. And like I mentioned, that just actually even to go yachting again together was like we were on the mighty Young Australia 20-something years ago. That makes us feel old.
Mate, he
makes us feel old.
Come on.
With the chicks, he would
liven up.
He'd be like a fresh turd in a paddock, with flies. There'd be just so many chicks floating around that bloke, I tell you.
Well, you may have cottoned onto it during the interview where I said I would just running off his coattails a little.
Longest coattails I've ever seen, mate.
Hey, listeners, you got to remember this is audio and not a video. So we did say the second most good, best looking person.
No, the best.
The best.
Yeah,
so
we're not the male model for Mandra was the second best.
Yeah. Yes,
I think it's like
that's what I'm saying. So
pips him at the post.
Although I have seen a couple of bad photos. I'll put one of the bad photos of him up. Nah. Anyway, let's move on. Good guy, great fun. Thanks for joining us, Joe, and best of luck, mate. Interesting stuff just this weekend. We missed talking about it ahead, but the Cherub Regatta in New Zealand, the Manly Cherubs, as we know.
With all the Sydney fleet?
Yeah. If you're looking for a cherub in Sydney, go over to New Zealand. It's good.
Done up.
It's good, isn't it? They're doing a great thing over there.
Oh, they're a great boat still.
Are we going to have a Mold 11 situation here, gents?
In what way?
Where the pros are coming into the Cherubs and just going to blow the class out of the water. Moose, you got some questions to answer, I'm afraid.
I'm afraid.
No. Bloody cool. And seeing a majority of these still pro yachties like sailing with their kids and all that sort of thing. It's bloody fantastic.
It seems to be a bit of a sort of a thing forming.
Well, it's not unusual. Australia has a very similar thing where dads jump in with their kids. The boat's called a heron.
Yeah. Exactly where I was going.
Well, I can tell
Are we doing anything wrong?
Hey, I can tell you it doesn't work in a Sabo. I tried that. No, you're right. But no, the thing I was trying to say that what's happening is that all these pro sailors, you've got Moose and you've got all these guys, and AIDS is another example from a few weeks ago, all getting back into these fleets. It's happening, isn't it? People are going sailing again for sailing. After
just reconnecting with their local and can see the value in supporting the grassroots as well, of which we're big fans of.
Another event that's going on this weekend just started, 4th to the 10th of April, is the Port Stephens Regatta. Done this one a few times, lads. Port Stephens is...
It's getting bigger. It's getting massive.
Well, it's just such a good place to go sailing,
It's the second best place in the world for sailing.
But they've got a whole mix, like it's yachts, it's dinghies, it's windsurfers, it's everything. There's a lot of people getting together to sail at Port Stephens. Probably worth checking in. It's a record fleet this year, from what I understand. So I'm not sure what the conditions are. I haven't done my weather check for them, but
I can tell you.
Yeah,
I'm here. I am not in Port Stephens. I'm not doing the regatta, but I am here in Sydney, and I can tell you the next 3 days are sunny, and then it's rain.
Okay, more rain.
So,
yeah.
Haven't seen you have done that regatta before. Renowned for the odd whale to meander onto the course, I believe.
Wow, yeah. It's interesting, actually. There's depending on where you set the course, there can be quite a bit of tide influence. It is a bit of a shark breeding ground as well, so it's not recommended to go swimming. But geez, it's beautiful. Like, it is a beautiful part of the world. Good beaches, good cafes. You can have a really damn fine time at Port
Quite
Stephens.
a big sandbar in the middle of the bay.
Yes, I've seen a few people stop on that.
Yes, for international listeners, if you're interested in coming down and doing a regatta, it's a good one to put on your calendar for sure. There you go. That's our plug.
Yep. So definitely a regatta to watch. And then I guess, seeing we're down to earth. I suppose this is more your style, Bicey, now that you wear the whites all the time and you sort of...
you do, yeah.
You run with the upper crowd.
Yep.
Should you, the Club Swan or the Swan... Club Swan Racing Regatta season's about to open. I guess you're not too far. The Tuscany Challenge is less than a month away.
Basically, the whole of the European, a lot of the TP guys are, and as Joe mentioned, they're all kind of congregating themselves in the Med to have a bit of a warm up for the season. Like you say, the Swans are kicking into gear, which is just getting bigger and better, the Club Swan Regattas. And one, like you say, I wouldn't feel out of place in my whites. Not at all.
No.
Hey, you get on.
I'll ensure they're packed next time I'm heading over.
Yeah.
Well, it must be a problem entering into winter. You're going to have to get into the long pants. Getting out of the shorts and the knee-high socks is going to be a problem, isn't it?
No, it's long pants.
Oh, it's long pants all the time?
Yeah, we're pretty highbrow around this place. But...
you're above that.
Look, Swan are doing something right, let's be honest. They're producing, I mean, they always have. They've produced beautiful boats, but they've sort of gone with this Club Swan concept. They're bringing out lots of different types of boats. They're putting great racing on in great locations. I know, Bicey, you and I have had a beer sitting there in some of the beautiful locations over our time together, and, you can see the attraction. So if you get a chance, if someone says, hey, there's a Swan Regatta on, jump on board. Is what I would suggest.
Damn straight.
Or if you want to do a Swan Regatta, get hold of a broom and just go to one of the places and hang out.
What?
Pick up a broom.
I got it.
Get over there and make yourself known.
Yeah. Sorry, BP. It took me a second. I'm thinking, you're a witch. What are you?
No, you were busy playing with your light switch.
Well, yeah.
The wife's gone to bed.
Emirates aren't flying anymore.
That's where I went to.
That's a funny one. I like it.
I thought you were talking witches, BP. The other one, that wing dinging regatta this weekend in my home waters. So I'm still fired up about that. So that'll be interesting. Very cool. Get the wing ding out and see if I can sink it to the bottom of the ocean. It'll be fun. I'll let you know. I'll let you know out next week.
But it seems stuff's starting to move again.
Yes.
Well, especially in Northern Hemisphere.
Yes.
It's going to keep us busy, keep us alert, keep the listeners up to date.
Yep.
We love it.
Yep, me too. Jack Lloyd, listener of the week.
We need a jingle. Get the jingle on.
Oh no, I'm too scared, BP. I'm scared of getting copyright breach, and we're saying I'm just.
Do you
scared.
really think that many people listen to us?
Well, yeah. I know a lot of people listen to us. So, I mean,
my mum and
I don't know if you at Sale GP. Jesus, it was insane.
Yeah, it must be insane, that stuff. For sure.
Like just the amount of people. We'll talk about that in a sec. But anyway, listener of the week. It's going to. I'm just going to say it. It's Christopher Zeiser. He's Zeiser. Chris O.
Nice.
Chris
Nice
O.
work, mate.
No, it's Zyzo.
Zyzo. Loves the pod. He wants to talk about the $1 million race, which is great.
Yep.
He was pretty certain going in that an Aussie helmsman was going to win, so he's quite up there.
I know he knows his game.
He knows his game.
Yeah.
He also has some dirt, mate. I met Slingers just after he won the $1 million last time at Oktoberfest in Munich, September 29, celebrating in extremely outgoing style. Every German knows from Aussies on the Weissen or the Weissen. He wants to know how they're going to split the funds. That's what he wants to ask. I have been asked that question so many times. Have you guys had that question?
I have.
How are they splitting the funds? I can tell you one thing. Barkarati ain't getting any of it.
Didn't you get the check?
No, mate.
Oh.
No. Yeah, so anyway, it's a good question, one, because he's caught Slingers out celebrating. I do know a few of the things they're spending the money on. I do know, I will give a bit of a free plug here. The old Rolex team came through with some very nice wrist watches. You know, like you remember one
for the whole
watch
team?
sponsor, Vicey, you remember one watch sponsor? You know, everyone thought they were winning watches, and they got these bracelets instead. Do you remember? Do you remember that?
Yeah, the Clayton's watch.
Clayton's watch.
Oh,
The watch you get when you don't get a watch.
That one flew like a lead balloon. But anyway, the Rolex crew delivered big time, and all the sailors got watches, and that was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. But yeah, they also got $1 million, and I know, Kat. Congratulations, you're getting a new car. That's all I'll say. She knows who she is. So, but yeah, I don't know how it's getting split, but there's a bit of money floating around.
I heard it's getting divvied up, and then the rest of it's going towards the RC44 campaign that all those boys are jumping on.
Oh, is that right?
There'll be more on that to come.
Yes, secret squirrel.
More on that to come.
Secret pro's back.
But he's back all right.
Never went away.
He or she, absolutely.
Love it.
No, it'll be interesting to see where it all goes, but I'm sure someone's house will be getting upgraded, and they probably live in the Lake Macquarie region.
Yeah. All right. I'm not going to give any more secrets. Right. So Zyso, Christopher, congratulations, Jack Lloyd, listener.
Zyso.
Well done, mate. Well done.
It's hot time with Bice.
BP, were you just sitting there waiting for him to bop his head?
No, I just can't deal with Harry anymore. It's hot time with boys. I just love it.
Righto, gents. Well, it wouldn't be hot time with Bice without talking about probably the hottest news going around in the last 12 months is the
M11s.
America's Cup.
Oh.
No, it's not Mold 11. It is the America's Cup going to Barcelona.
Yeah.
This is just a topic to discuss. Plenty of people in the land of the long white cloud are not very happy at all.
Can confirm.
A few people extremely happy. About 250 million people living within 1 hour flight of the next venue for the America's Cup.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be pretty keen on it.
Yep.
But isn't going to go down without some controversy. Gents?
Well, it's a big one. It is a big one because
Massive one.
I think the general public in New Zealand feeling betrayed, absolutely feeling betrayed. Just got off the phone with some Kiwis and non-sailor Kiwis, and they're just going, they're ready to burn the whole.
Sailing's no longer a national sport.
Yeah, no, the Team New Zealand base is under threat. They'd have to put a few extra security guards on. It could be a giant hungy before we know it, boys.
You never know. The world's biggest.
Carbon fibre hungy.
Some pretty big green leaves to cover it.
I'll tell you something, though. Head on over to livesaildie.com. There's an opinion piece put out by Will Reid. So check out our mates over there. And it puts it a little bit into perspective.
Oh, yeah?
In what way? I haven't read it.
Well, essentially
Give us a rundown.
the money that had been made available, and I may completely cock this up, but
may or may not.
May or may not. The money that is available, well, I'll read you through the first little bit here. So let's play a game. It's coming up to the end of your contract and you're negotiating with your boss. We'll give you a 30 grand pay rise. Brilliant. Where do I sign? Well, here's the contract. Hang on. This contract says that I'll get 10K less each year, but you said I was getting a pay rise. Well, you'll have 10K less in your pocket, but we're going to spend 40K on upgrading the office and running the business. And that counts as part of the offer to you. And it goes on and on and on. But essentially what it's saying is the money that's coming in from the government
is going to
build infrastructure, all those sorts of things, which is important, of course,
Absolutely.
but not necessarily towards the team as such in cash sense to get them across the line to ensure that they win the next cup.
It's the only justification for the government to put money into it, right? They've got to get some infrastructure out of it. So, but is this, if we think back, I know Bertarelli was the Swiss challenge and so had to move the location. So he couldn't run it in Switzerland because it has to be on the ocean. It's in the rules. But this is the first time ever that a defender has just said, you know what, let's just go and do it over here, somewhere else, not where we live. That's the first time ever. It's crazy. What are we up to? 150 years of.
Well, I know that there's a whole lot. I just read a piece about Michael Fay has put his position across as well.
The traditional Kiwi,
which essentially says he's going to give up his Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron membership over this. It's just an abomination what has happened and the fact the Cup has left New Zealand. And let's face it, the money they're asking for is, yes, it sounds a lot of money, 200, 300 million, whatever the number was. It's not that much money.
No, that's a tank of petrol these days.
It is not that much money. So, crazy times. But, it's bringing it to the people. It's going to put it in front of millions and millions and millions of people.
Let's get an opinion. What do you think, Bicey?
I was always going to leave, right?
No, but what do you think personally? How do you feel about it?
Oh, no, if I was a Kiwi, I would be totally pissed.
Yeah.
You're not a Kiwi.
Totally pissed. And the 200 and 300 million, whatever the number is, like I said, I think that is minimal wedge that needs to...
So, as an Aussie?
Here's the most critical question. 100% most critical question. Are we more likely or were we more likely to get our drinks barge in the middle of the fleet, the middle of the race course in New Zealand or in Spain?
Spain.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah, no, we're good. Yeah, no, I'm actually happy about the choice.
The Barcarati barge is on.
Believe me, I'm already working on it.
Yeah, the only problem is that in Spain it won't turn up until the day after the regatta finishes.
That's okay.
And the race is at 9. The race is at 9 at night.
We'll just be stuck on the shore.
Oh dear. No.
Right.
Having very intricate Spanish connections, I think it'd be nice to get over there. But hey, looks, from New Zealand aside and the Cup aside and all that sort of stuff, I love the idea of it going to Barcelona. I wasn't so excited about Jeddah. We knew it was going to go, realistically, we knew it was going to go right from New Zealand. That seemed like it was going to happen with the talk that was going on. Cork would have been just way too windy. And I think Barcelona...
3 days of summer a year.
Yeah. Yeah, like Sydney.
We're on fire tonight. We're just offending everyone. Apologies.
But I got to say, I mean, look, if you look back to 2007 with the Valencia Cup to this day, even though it was a neutral ground, the Cup was pretty special. I think this has got potential to be pretty special as well. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Rightio. Next topic. Team New Zealand.
Oh, same topic.
The day after or the day before the Barcelona announcement, they launched a new boat.
Oh, yeah, the hydro.
The hydro thing.
Hydrogen
the
thing. I'm a massive fan of this.
I'm looking forward to seeing it on the water. So the
thing.
Chase Zero, it's been named.
Yep.
For all the right reasons, zero emissions and all those sorts of things. But basically, essentially being put together by that New Zealand team, who all thought they were going to get a bit of time off. It's like, nah, bloody get your grinder out, power. You're building another boat. With some hydrogen-powered, what was it, hydrogen fuel cells?
Yep.
Yes.
Out of the Toyota. Got a couple of prototypes out of Toyota.
Yep.
So I'm pretty keen to see how this goes. This whole fuel cell tech has been bounced around for quite some time. But finally, there's a boat that's going to be on the water that can cruise at 35, full noise at 50, 50 knots.
Yeah, no, I'm a massive fan of the whole concept.
That's 100 kilometres an hour, roughly, for the SAIL GP tech, guys.
I'll tell you exactly. 50 knots is 94 kilometres an hour.
Yeah. So, we look forward to following this.
Yep.
It's a pity. Well, it's been put in the water, but if it loses a bit of luster while we're waiting for it to get going, but that's fine. We'll just see it on the Hooraki Golf soon.
Just like everything,
It's got a long drive to get to Spain now.
See it all happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Need some
Just go up through the tropics.
some big cells.
That's it. Cool.
Rightio.
Yes.
Gents, bit of general knowledge.
Oh, here we go.
Who
Mm-hmm.
is currently sailing around Antarctica?
Oh, BP all over. This is you, mate. Lisa Blair.
Lisa Blair, yeah.
Lisa Blair.
You caught me on the hop there for a second. I was just thinking.
Mental blank. I could see it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's she going?
She's currently ahead of the record. So her aim is to beat the record, which is currently held by, what was his name?
Hey, he's doing a BP on the microphone.
Fedor
Bingo!
Fedor Konyakov,
Oh, good old
who
Fedor.
had the record he set the record in 2008 around Antarctica. Lisa was close to breaking it in 2017 till she dropped the stick.
Yep.
But she currently holds in Guinness World Record for the fastest around and the only female with one stop. Now she's going for the full noise.
Cool.
Yeah, well,
Currently ahead. Looks like coming in around the Cape shortly. So
very cool.
Good work.
Very cool.
Don't hit any.
and all for the right cause, of course.
Yep.
Which everyone's doing these days. Climate action now. And you see actually on her boat, it's like all these little post-it notes.
Yes.
With all the different pledges that people have made.
Yep.
So
That's cool.
recommended. Go check it out. LisaBlairSailsTheWorld.com.
Beauty.
Yep.
Beauty.
We'll be chasing her when she gets in.
Right, finally, this is possibly one of the most important days coming up for Barkarati.
Oh.
So stay tuned. During the week of the 4th of April, there'll be two Barkarati.
During the week of the 4th of April.
The week starting 4th of April, there'll be two Barkarati members indulging in a plank owner Stroopwafel beer.
Ja, das ist
From
gut,
our
ja.
friends, from our friend Sean Wagner of Plank Owner Brewing, who is the beer sponsor for Charleston Race Week.
Yeah, good work.
On the bar.
Jordan, you're heading down to mighty Radelaide during the week for a bit of business. We may have a bit of leisure attached to that. And Sean, if you're listening, we'll make sure we capture this. The actual sampling of your wares that you snuck in throughout the week, whenever that was, a couple of months ago, which they have been on ice ever since. So looking forward to it.
Sounds great.
Can't wait. Love it.
I've got a couple of Mars bars here for you to wash it down with, Jordan. Ready to go.
Oh, God, I hate my mates.
It's okay, but they're fun to have around.
Yeah. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Sale GP?
Yeah, tell us.
Oh, you tell us.
Tell us about it, mate.
You tell us.
You were there.
You are the guru.
Well,
you probably got COVID.
No.
No, all clear.
No, I was because if I'd got it, I couldn't come back to Australia, so I was sort of pretty boring, to tell the honest truth. And plus, I was around the sailor, so I had to be respectful. It's good fun, hey. There are dollars rolling in. That league's a goer. It's 100%. It's still got a lot of Larry's money going into it, but it's backed now. There's people rolling in. The teams are getting money. I did a lot of sponsor hosting as part of my role, and I have a special way of making sure that sponsors have a unique experience, and that's why I get invited along to these things, because the sponsors come out being very happy. I did get to hang out with Dee Kafari. They seem to pair me and Dee up for a lot of things, which was interesting. So Dee and
was Dee there on an official capacity?
Yeah, same role.
Yep.
And she's unreal, like Dee. It was good fun hanging with her. She is so professional. She's so good. And she does her research. She's a real pro, and it was great to work with her. It was kind of like a school teacher and a naughty student working together.
That's good to say.
But she was great. We would walk home at night after long walk. Like it was probably a good 40-minute walk, 45, just talking about stuff. And there's a all-female Jules Verne campaign about to come to light. Have you boys heard about this?
No.
Negative.
Okay.
We weren't on the 40-minute walk with you.
No. I've done a bit of follow-up. We'll get them on to talk about it in the lead-up. So an all-female crewed Jules Verne campaign. I think that's a great one. So very interested to hear more about that. And we will. It's already underway.
Magenta project involvement?
Actually,
or not?
Yeah,
not entirely sure.
I'm not quite sure, but there's
It'd have to be that sort of group. Yeah.
Yep. I had a really good chat to team principal for the Danish team because we're pretty tight. We love Tom. We love the boys. All that crew, that Danish crew, we love. Right. Love Nikolai. That Chris Nicholson's coaching him. It's a good group, and the owners of that team are 100%. Like I had a beer with them, and they're 100% behind Nikolai. They're 100% behind the team. And it was interesting because I had a conversation and they were talking about results, and I said, you guys are getting the results. Like, your team is the most approachable team, right? When you see the corporate guests coming through, the Danish team are doing way more than anyone else. They're really into it, and that's where the success comes from a sponsor. So it was good to have that conversation, because Nikolai is the most giving bloke around. He's just a ton of fun to hang around. He's just a genuinely nice bloke, So I was pretty stoked to have that conversation. The other one that was interesting, lads, Team Canada. They are loose as. They are unreal. The whole crew behind there's some stuff I got to tell you offline. I probably can't say everything online, but that Team Canada is fully backed, like fully sponsored already.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I know Phil Robertson obviously taken over.
Their skipper's going to be pretty fired up.
Yeah. Good news for Phil is Fletcher's going over from the shore team perspective. So, you're getting super quality there. Another bloke I have a shit ton of time for, Fletch. I love that guy. I can't say enough good about him. But the sponsorship guys that I took around, some of their crew that are running the whole thing, just great people. I know that if we ever go to Sail GP as a team, we will probably disappear into the Canada tent and come out about 3 days later just messed up.
Stinking of maple syrup.
Just wearing. Oh, no, don't go there.
Yeah, no, that was cool.
Move on.
Yeah, no, that was all. Good stuff.
in all of that,
Oh, yeah.
Where'd we
who
start
was
with
the
that?
sponsor for the last Mubadala?
Yeah,
How do you pronounce it?
Mubadala.
Mubadala.
Yeah.
Budler.
What do you reckon they pay an event?
Okay. I'll give you a little bit. So I spent a lot of time with some of the crew there from Mubadala, and they're an ethical investment company, obviously from the UAE. They're looking for ethical investments, and they're trialling 6 global programs to invest in. So they had a sort of trial run with Sail GP.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not a given, but I mean, I think they were pretty blown away by sailing brings so much. You know, we've talked about it many times on this program that the sailing hospitality piece is completely unique. And from a corporate perspective, it's just a no-brainer. You know, if you get involved, you win. And the Mubadala team got invested in that, and they saw that. They had a quite diverse mix of staff there. I will say I ended up with a few of the more fun ones. At some stage, there was 3 single young ladies who wanted to know which are all the single sailors that they were asking me all that information. And yes, it's some funny conversations is all I'll say. But good group.
I'm just trying to think what to
I
say.
think you should start being a little more diverse, Jordan, on the show, please.
Yes.
There are a few young gentlemen asking about the single ladies on tour, if there was any available as well.
Yes.
We don't have to always jump on one side of the gender wagon here.
Yes.
So you're asking out of the sailors there? Well, I don't
No,
know.
I'm just saying it's worth a mention as well.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm sure there was a couple of blokes.
I
who
think there's a lot of people having a lot
had
of fun.
their eye on some of the ladies
Yeah.
as well.
From Mubadala.
Yeah.
Mubadala.
Mubadala.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was plenty of sponsorship involvement. That was cool. The sailing racing was. The way I'd see it is because I was in a boat that was right next to the boats as they start. We'd race along right next to them, so we were right next to them as they start. So the spectators on my boat were right there next to them, and then after the first race, we'd peel out and go back inshore and swap out. For the next group, and so I'd see the first and the third race. So I always missed the second race. The problem for the Sail GP team was that not all their stuff got delivered. A whole bunch of containers were still on ships prior to once the regatta had started, and they spent a fortune trying to get everything organised and make it look as smooth as possible, but their marks weren't there. You know, they've got these GPS marks that automatically move to location, and they can change the course at will and respond quickly. But they were still on a ship, and they had to build these marks
To pretend they were them.
Well,
I
and
wondered
it took
what was
half an
going
hour
on.
to move them.
I wondered what was going on there.
Yeah, and then of course the start marks drifted on that last race, the grand final. So they
Which
did
was
a virtual.
another question I had. I was wondering about that. There you
Yeah,
go, you
well,
answered it for me.
I'm-
Because I'm saying, why? What do you mean the start mark drifted? Did the engine die or something? Because I knew they were using them.
They were just anchored buoys, right?
Yeah,
and,
right.
And it took them 30 minutes to move them each time. But unfortunately, the stream was so strong. Like at one stage, I was sort of texting them, going, "Yeah, look, I'm on the boundary here, just near the bridge, and the start mark's sailing past me right now. I don't know if anyone's noticed this." And then they did a virtual start, which caused a little bit of confusion. But that final, you could actually. It was really interesting. There was a wind line, and the Aussies saw it. I could see it from where I was, and they they went straight for that win line, a little bit slow and low to get down to that win line. So, they start at the bottom and they started to leeward of everyone and they hooked that win line and stayed on their falls the whole way, whereas the others sort of bounced up on their falls and then dropped off. There was clearly a win line that you could see, and I think the others missed it. They got too involved in starting and missed that. And I talked to the boys afterwards and they said, yeah, that was exactly the plan. They were just going to stay on falls the whole way.
Wait for the Barkarati Sail GP team to get on.
Yeah.
It's on fire.
And the rumour I heard, and I'm not, we're mates with Jimmy. The rumour I heard is that because they've got a no sailing with when there's a mammal on the course, a whale on the course.
Mammal.
Yeah. No sailing. And so the rumour I heard is that Jimmy had a spotter on the bridge, had a spotter on one of the headlands, had 3 boats out there looking and making a call if there was a whale and they were behind. I
thought Larry, like the minute Jimmy just dropped behind, then boop, abandon. I'm like, Larry, geez, he even knows the whales.
Yeah.
He can get them to come in at the right time.
Well, the joke I was doing is Hasso Plattner, owns SAP, he's a competitor. He put a whale on the course.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, it was great. It was great tension. We had an absolute ball hanging out there. It was a ton of fun. So, yeah. It's a good event. It's definitely a grower.
Word has it that Slingers is going to invest a little bit in Mubadala. so to keep him on board.
I think they're on board. I can't speak for them. I don't know, but a couple of people whispered in my ear about how good it was. So
I'm just having a look at some of their financial information and reports. Yeah, I reckon they've got a bit.
Yeah, they got.
You're right. Good one.
Yeah.
Well, the most important thing is, Jay, that you had a good time. Ultimately.
Yeah, look, great bunch of people to work with. At Barkarati, who was it? One of the guys that rode in the other week caught me in the bar. I was madly running to my next gig, so I spoke to him for about 2 minutes and I apologise.
My next gig. Geez, you're just busy, aren't you?
I was, BP. I genuinely was. I was doing a lot of things, so I didn't really have that much time off. But it was. What was I going to say? Oh, anyway, the amount of people talking about Barkarati was just insane. Insane. It's bizarre. It was bizarre. So, congratulations, Daniela Moroz. The kiteboarder. The standout best kiteboarder in the world, basically. She saw me at breakfast and she's just going, I love Barkarati so much, and I'm just going, oh yeah, well, come on the show. So she'll get on the show soon. But it was good fun. It was good fun. Wear a Barkarati shirt in San Francisco. You're pretty popular.
I've actually got a new range coming out.
Oh yeah.
You know how I told you my algorithms had mixed a few things up? Mm-hmm. Well, it has done with my latest order as well. We've got a big rainbow across the back, so they will go well in San Fran.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I'm over there in 6 weeks. They're going to be out then or not?
Yeah, no, I've sent you a couple over.
Oh, beautiful.
Some good ones.
You'll have a ball, mate. Good times.
Love it.
Anything else? Sailfest Newcastle, no, what was the one? What are we going? The Champions League. That was on last weekend too, at the same time as Sail GP. So to our great friend Mark and his organising there, we just sort of better give that a little bit of a mention. So congratulations to the team there. The Mornington Yacht Club team taking that one out. Looks like they only had one race in the final. What else?
A bit of controversy up in the TPs up in Newcastle.
Oh yes.
Well worth a chat. I don't know if you guys. It's not on the run list, but neither is most of the stuff we've been talking about. So
take it away, BP.
Yeah, BP, right the run list.
A little bit of controversy up in the TP, the Australian TP tour last weekend. Guelo took it out after a protest in which Ichiban was rubbed out on a start line incident. So bad luck to them, obviously, but seems like it was tight racing. So the Australian TP tour seems to be getting some legs after obviously what was COVID the last 2 years, and before that, the discussions to get it going. but there was 10 boats there, and well worth. If you have a TP, lazy TP sitting around, give it a go.
Yeah.
Nick Bice.
Yep. There you go.
Oh, okay.
The other one we should mention, the Pro Sailing Tour is about to kick off again. We're big fans of the 50-foot trimarans racing around. So that gets underway in May. So looking forward to that one. I think they go to Corsica first. I think, south of England, 12th May to 10 July, shaping up to be a highly competitive 2-month hard-fought racing series. So kicking off in May, looking forward to that. We're all fans of that one, I think.
Absolutely.
And what about the big Comanche?
Oh, here we go. What have you got, BP?
I saw some cryptic stuff on.
Are we spreaders of rumours, or
I saw some cryptic stuff on the book.
It's not a rumour. I know,
that's where I go for all my news.
It's not a rumour. It's done. It's a done deal.
Do you know who bought it?
Yep.
Is it coming back to Oz?
Yep.
Who brought it?
Who's going to say it? I know who bought it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
bro.
100%.
Are you going to say it?
Well, let's just say somebody's selling a lot of appliances.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, so we're on the same wavelength.
Mm-hmm.
I know as well.
Bob Westinghouse.
No, Kelvinator.
Kelvin brought it.
Look, she's going to be fully glammed up too, from what I hear. Like, I think, are we being too cryptic for the listeners? Should we just say?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we're allowed to say. Are we allowed to say?
Oh,
So the winning group.
Yeah.
Is that what we're saying? Yeah.
Look, the beautiful part about this, it's coming back to Australia. It's going to be in Australia. Who cares? We'll let it out. I guess we can let it the bag.
A great sailing family. Look, everyone knows.
Family.
I'm sure everyone knows. Don't they know?
I don't know.
It's 100% happened. It was the paperwork was signed while I was in Sail GP. Basically, is what I think we were. Everyone that sails on it was telling me.
That means we've got another massive year with 100-footers coming up this year.
Yeah. Do you reckon the X2 will beat them if it's a downwinder?
Absolutely.
Yep.
No,
I heard they're going 2 up.
Well, they've got an autopilot to do everything else. Hey, no,
I love it.
I can't wait. I'm stoked. I think it's great that these boats can keep coming back, don't they? Hey, Blackjack.
Look, as long as we got owners like that are, and let's be honest, if the winnings own it, you're going to have a damn good time sailing on that thing. I just true sailing family owning it, it's going to be unreal. I wonder if he paid in rubles or US dollars or Aussie dollars.
Or microwaves.
Or a few Westinghouse and Kelvinators.
Yeah, look, congratulations.
Oh, cool.
It's going to come.
That's great.
Yeah.
Bit of work coming our way, so there'll be a few happy sailors.
Why don't we do it? We should reach out and do a broadcast live from the Comanche at some stage. Can we do that? I suppose we could, couldn't we?
Live from the cockpit.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we could. Why not?
Screaming down Sydney Harbour on the 26th of December.
Well, yep. Why not? Love it. Good bit of news to finish off program off on, BP. Oh, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, well, I think it's good news. I love it.
Rightio.
Righto.
Wrap her up, boys.
Love your work.
In a big paper bag.
Congratulations, Barcelona. Congratulations to winnings. Congratulations to our listeners. And
good luck with your Stroop rifle beer.
Can't wait, mate.
I'm looking forward to hearing how you like it. Okay. Waffle beer.